With the launch of Season of the Seraph, there is a ton of new loot to go over and a bunch of potential weapon rolls to test for new meta picks inside of PvE. And there was one weapon that caught my eye right away, that being the Fire and Forget linear fusion rifle. At first glance, it may not seem like the best option due to its damage perks, but this weapon has by far the most unique traits and overall utility of any linear fusion rifle in Destiny 2. Today, I'll be showcasing just how strong this weapon can be and why you should absolutely focus on crafting one this season. If you enjoyed today's video, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. And before we dive in, I want to thank the Ridge Wallet for sponsoring today's video. Fellas, do something nice for yourselves this holiday season by lightening up those pockets and upgrading those bulky blasts from the past to a sleek Ridge Wallet that comes in over 30,000 colors and styles. I love that such a compact wallet can carry up to 12 cards with some room for cash as well. And they even have a key case to keep you organized and prevent your keys from poking you like a typical keychain does. Use my link below, ridge.com/above, to get the best offer, letting you save up to 40% this holiday season. Once again, that's ridge.com/above, and thanks again to Ridge for sponsoring today's video. Fire and Forget is just the second aggressive burst linear fusion rifle in Destiny 2, and can be acquired through the Exoframe vendor in the helm. Stormchaser was the first of this weapon archetype added during Season of the Hunt. It was extremely popular at launch because of its insanely high burst damage, which was eventually nerfed or fixed because the DPS output was off the charts. Despite the nerf, it's still insanely good, but the archetype isn't even what has me the most excited. It's also the fact that this linear is stasis, which means now that Reed's Regret is no longer obtainable, it's the only stasis linear fusion rifle that you can get. Stasis linear fusions are highly sought after because they have the easiest access to Font of Might for boss DPS scenarios. This comes via Supreme Wellmaker, where casting your super spawns stasis elemental wells that you can pick up for a free 20% damage bonus. And if this wasn't enough, this linear is also part of the Viced Foundry, which means that it can take advantage of Vice Stinger. This gives the weapon an RNG chance to fully reload its magazine while doing damage, and Viced linears are widely in a league of their own because of this. Anytime you can bypass a reload to continue damaging a boss, it significantly improves your DPS, because any downtime while reloading is a loss in damage. And the fact that this perk has the chance to proc on each hit means that Fire and Forget has 3 times the chance to proc Vice Stinger over any other linear fusion rifle. So we have 3 massive pros right off the bat. It's an aggressive burst linear, which is a really solid DPS archetype. It's the only stasis linear currently obtainable in the game, and can easily take advantage of Font of Might for more DPS. It also has Vice Stinger, which allows it to compete with the other best in slot linears, and it's worth mentioning that Reed's was difficult to get for most players because it was locked behind trials. And Stormchaser is an RNG drop from Duality, which makes the God Roll DPS variant of this weapon a pain to get. Fire and Forget, on the other hand, is easily obtainable for all players, which is awesome because it has the potential to be a meta changer this season. But without good perks to complement it, the other benefits don't really matter. So let's see what we've got to work with. In column 3, Field Prep is far and away the best choice for PvE. It not only maxes out your reload speed while crouched, it also ups your ammo reserves to 21 compared to just 18 of the Stormchaser. Taipan holds 22 shots for reference, but also does significantly less damage per shot than aggressive burst linears do, which actually makes Field Prep pretty nutty on this weapon archetype. In column 4, it may not have what most would consider to be top tier damage perks, but there are definitely some interesting options here. For me, the top choices are Frenzy, Focused Fury, High Impact Reserves, and Vorpal. And if I had to narrow these down, I would get rid of Vorpal simply because even though it's a consistent damage bonus, it's now just 10% after the nerf to heavy weapons. And High Impact Reserves actually works against what this weapon does best, which is auto-reloading itself with Vice Stinger over and over and over again. The more Vice Stinger procs, the less we can take advantage of this damage bonus, which means this is an easy skip for me. This leaves us with Frenzy and Focused Fury. Frenzy definitely has a place in the sandbox, especially in activities like the new Battlegrounds, the Lightblade Grandmaster, or even dungeon bosses like Keitel, where you're constantly in combat. In those situations, I think Frenzy is the superior perk here. But for standard DPS phases on raid bosses, Focused Fury becomes the obvious choice. After dealing half of the magazine as precision damage, Focused Fury grants a 20% damage bonus for 11 seconds that can be refreshed infinitely, though it takes a few seconds to get rolling, as it doesn't proc on the first burst like I hoped it would. You're gonna have this up at all times, and what makes this so special is the fact that it synergizes so well with this aggressive burst ability to proc Vice Stinger. You'll notice in the footage that I don't reload a single time. This is because Vice Stinger has so many opportunities to proc that it's always topping me back up on ammo before I ever need to reload, which means I can fire off those 21 shots faster than anyone else in my fire team. And this is way more significant than you'd think. As you can see on this wipe screen, my buddy Slendy was using Cataclysmic, and with both of us having solid damage phases, my Fire and Forget was the leader in DPS by a wide margin. Every time you have to reload using a perk like Bait and Switch, or you don't get lucky with Vice Stinger procs on your other linears, you're losing out on DPS. And with bosses that have large crit spots like Oryx does, or when you're shooting a massive div bubble, you're gonna have Vice Stinger and Focused Fury proccing at all times. And because this weapon also rolls field prep, your total damage is going to be really solid as well. You have so many shots in reserve that even though you're burning through ammo at an accelerated rate, you have the reserves to back you up. If you haven't already, I highly recommend picking up this weapon and working towards crafting it as soon as possible. Is it the best linear in the game? It's probably too early to say, and I personally think that other linears are easier to use in day-to-day activities, but for boss phases, with further testing, this may just be the best linear fusion rifle in Destiny 2. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. You can also catch me live over on Twitch at twitch.tv/above, where I'll be streaming the brand new dungeon tomorrow, and you can expect a guide on that later this week. Anyways guys, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.